My mission is simple, to help you protect your family and keep more of your money. I'm here to help level the playing field for families and those who seek the truth. There's always a new way to make money, but at the end of the day, it's your family's security and your legacy that matter. And I promise to help you protect what's really important to you. Legacy Money starts now. Okay, welcome to Legacy Money. Hi, I'm Barry Page, the host, and I have a special guest with us today. We're going to be talking about financial education. We are live on YouTube, but whether or not you're watching us live or you're watching the recording, we hope you'll share this with your friends and family and those you care about. So thank you for joining us. This is the show that shares the truth about money and how it really works, so you can live more, give more, and leave more. So today we have joining us James Blanton. He's the managing partner of PEM Life. James, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me. It's great to be here.
So again, we'll be talking about financial education and what you can do maybe to get involved, help educate others. And be sure to subscribe to our channel and hit the little bell if you want to be notified when we have other videos. But let's get on with the show. James, thank you so much for joining us. I wanted to share a little bit about you. I met you through your father's company, Money Tracks, and at Cal College, Circle of Wealth. This is an educational school that I went to as an advisor and still go to, just went here in January. But that was probably close to 20 years ago when I first met your dad and went to one of those. And I think you may have still been in high school or something later on
somewhere around
when
there.
I met you. What was that life like growing up in the financial world at a young age?
You know, it is interesting. My dad was a basketball coach and a biology teacher when he got started, and we moved to Louisiana. He took a job as a youth director at the time. And through some of the fault in insurance in the financial services world. So that was when I was a kid. So coming up, you know, he'd always talk about, you know, when are you going to learn something that's worth knowing? I was a finance major in college, and it turns out they didn't teach me any of that stuff that he felt that I should need to know. Things that he was busy teaching advisors and educating advisors how to teach their clients and educate their clients about how to improve their financial position. So folks who are out there every day dealing with real world implications from a lack of financial literacy, how do we fix those problems? So it's been neat sort of coming back to the table now with PEM Life and developing a personal finance curriculum to try and engage students at a much younger age and to help them be prepared for what they are going to encounter in the real world. So.
Well, tell us a little bit, you know, about you. I know you just touched on it. You were a finance major, but, you know, tell us a little bit about you now that you're an adult. You have your own family. Tell us a little bit about you.
So yeah, we live in Covington, Louisiana. My wife and I have two little boys. They're big into soccer, and I was talking to my youngest. He's 7. The other day, and he was telling me how that you can't spend all your money, because if you spend all your money, you won't have any money. And so that was an important thing to not to do. But they are very familiar with what Daddy does and what Papa Don does, and some of those truths we've tried to start with them around the kitchen table and very early. So give them a head start as well.
Papa Don, I love that. So we affectionately call him Don Buddy. He likes to be called, I think. And
his friends call him Don Buddy.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I, you know, met your family, your mother and your sister, many years ago, and spent some time at your home. Your father was always very gracious, inviting advisors over to the house and feeding us.
Well,
So
those steaks are good, I'm telling you.
I'll tell you what, and of course down in the South, we love to eat, so that's always good. But what was it like, growing up? Back to your childhood a little bit. You mentioned your dad being a pastor, being a teacher, and also being a financial educator. What was it like growing up? Was he a tough dad?
Absolutely, absolutely. There was a line, and it went straight down the middle, and you knew if you went one way or the other in a hurry. That's, but it turned out all right. I wouldn't trade it. I'm thankful for those things that I'm able to now pass on to my kids, and they'd probably say the same thing about me. But I think it comes from a place of you love your children and you want to help them the best you can to prepare them to be successful in life.
That's great, and you have a wonderful family, and
Thank
got
you.
to see your children a little bit in January at
Running
Cal
around
College.
making noise, huh?
Yeah, well, hey, that's what kids do, right?
Indeed.
What were you like as a kid? Were you kind of rowdy, or you pretty much stayed in that straight line you're talking about?
Yeah, I tried to stay on that straight line as much as I could. I knew when I was going off and that the end result was not going to be in my favor. So,
Do you feel like you got a good background in money? I mean, what made you to choose finance as a major? Did you have that direction input from dad?
not really. They've always been very supportive of, kind of allowing me to find my own direction. I was always one of those kids who I didn't want to be told what to do. I wanted to have the space in the room to kind of figure that out. So, they always allowed me to do that, which I'm thankful for. But a lot of people from the outside looking in who know my dad and they say, "Oh, you're a finance major." Yeah, that makes all the sense in the world. But I didn't see it that way. I felt that I really didn't know what I wanted to do, but I figured regardless of what I was going to end up doing, uh, education and finance would serve me no matter what. So that's where that started, and I think it has to a degree, but I think our educational system is set up. It does a great job of preparing students to earn a degree and to get a job and to start earning a living. But it's those decisions surrounding what we do with that income we are able to generate that traditionally our educational system hasn't put a finer point on preparing students to be able to deal with those kinds of issues, at least not efficiently. So I didn't
Well,
find that as part of my experience.
I'm glad you brought that up because I was a business major, and I've started multiple businesses over the years, and took finance, took economics. I didn't really have any of that in high school or in school, grade school, but in college, those courses I took were more about business. They weren't about personal finance. So
Mhm.
your dad, obviously, he created Money Tracks, Circle of Wealth, and Cal College, and all of that. But now you're kind of getting some experience in the business world, management yourself as managing partner. So, what made you decide to get into this full time now? Because as you just touched on, the finance, we don't really get taught in school, but now this is a course, a curriculum, right? The PEM Life. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so my dad founded Money Tracks in 1994 as a way for advisors to increase their level of communication with their clients on topics of personal finance, helping them educate their clients about what the heck they were saying and why they were saying it and how they were going to move from where they were presently to improving their financial position. And so, growing up and working for that company, Money Tracks' clients have always been the financial advisor. They've kind of been the interim, the intermediary for the delivery of that information. But the heart of why any of it was written in the first place was to educate the general public through the lens of a financial advisor. Happened to be the one that was providing that education. But I've always thought, even dating back until when I was a kid, delivering packages and whatnot for money tracks, that if the point of all this was to educate people, shouldn't there be an opportunity to continue that education, and maybe circumvent the financial advisor, and go directly to the people that these materials that were created were intended for in the first place? So that's when we started PEM Life during COVID. We had the wild notion that we could develop a personal finance curriculum that would help people understand some of these points about personal finance that advisors such as yourself are helping people work through the aftermath of not having exposure to these kinds of concepts previously.
If there's anything good that came out of the pandemic, I think that was it. It just, it encouraged us to, hey, we can do a lot of this stuff online, right? And so, this curriculum, it's about financial education, financial literacy, helping people understand what's really going on with their money. And I believe that's vital. So you have this curriculum now, courses of study. And so there's different ways for people to get involved. Can you speak on that a little bit? What's it? How's it taught, and what's it all about?
Yeah, so we have the curriculum placed in a number of different places. There are companies that you have heard of that are utilizing this curriculum to educate their agents engaged in financial services, as well as their team members. Colleges and universities you've heard of are teaching this curriculum every day. So we do also have a homeschool course for folks who are of that persuasion and are looking for a personal finance curriculum that they can take online for a grade. We have the homeschool edition that's available for that. Just for regular folks, working folks who want access to the information and understanding the lessons and that sort of thing. We have the self-study course, which is direct access to the information. All of the sort of coursework has been omitted. We do still include the quizzes there, but that's just a just for fun feature to kind of gauge where you're at with some of the information rather than for a grade. We also have the ability to set this up within high schools and colleges, working directly with the instructors there to not only provide a personal finance curriculum for the students in their classroom, but also to help prepare the educators and the instructors, the teachers, to be able to increase the amount of knowledge that they're able to deliver to the students in their classroom through the use of the curriculum. Similar in a way to what Money Tracks has done for financial advisors, educating their clients. We've just shifted our focus a little bit to teach teachers how to educate the students in their classroom using a lot of the same tools.
That's fantastic. So, I know, like I said, financial education, I believe, just working with clients over the years, it's amazing to me that so many people really don't understand what's going on with their money. They may have this retirement plan, they may have other methods of savings. Nobody really teaches them about debt and what's really happening there. So just having access to this. So you mentioned, and I see right there, the courses, homeschooling, so many people have shifted to homeschooling recently. So I think that's great. This is something that a parent can offer their child, but being
Absolutely.
able to actually get it as a curriculum in high school or college, I know probably might be a hurdle. I know that's where you're growing, but what kind of roadblocks have you ran into, looking at this from an organization or business perspective, getting into the schools and colleges?
Yeah, well, I think, maybe it's society in general and our culture of immediacy. I think people are looking for, in a lot of ways, an immediate solution to whatever issue they might be facing. And issues surrounding personal finance are really no different. But the thing I've come to understand is that there is no magic silver bullet. There is no, take 15 seconds in a TikTok to understand everything you need to do financially to move from where you are to a better place in the future. It's a process. And part of that process is gaining a solid foundation and understanding of the way financial mechanisms actually work, not just how they are perceived to work, or how we've been told that they do work, or we sort of surmise for ourselves through trial and error how things work. No, we need a solid foundation first of all, and we need to take ownership that it is our responsibility to solve these problems. And then we need to roll up our sleeves and go through the dirty work of actually, on a day in and day out basis, applying these concepts to the financial decisions that are coming across each and every day. So that's probably the biggest thing I would say is recognizing that it is a process, and the sooner we start that process, the better off we're going to be.
Sure. And looking there, the self-study course. So I just purchased this for my son. And, of course, my son is just graduated college. He's engaged to be married himself. But, today you mentioned the online videos, the short videos. That self-education, I believe, is something else that is really, come out of this modern world that we live in. People are,
Sure.
they're going online, they're learning on YouTube.
Hmm.
And so not necessarily the 1 minute videos, but there are, many longer form videos. People are teaching themselves how to, you know, go in business, how to do construction work, how to do many things. So this is a self-education course that somebody can actually take themselves, or parents can buy, for their children. Because let's face it, it's not always easy to talk to your kids about money and what they should do, especially once they become teenagers, right?
Once
So,
they know
you know,
everything, right?
yeah. So that's great. I believe that it's being offered as a self study course, and self education, really. So, uh, how did you design? How did y'all come up with that idea that somebody could just take this on their own?
Well, I think it stems from just the want to put this information into the hands of as many people as possible. We want to educate students, before they are out in the real world making decisions with their income. If we can figure out how to impact their future by preparing them sufficiently to be able to make wise and efficient decisions with their finances. What do we have for those folks such as myself who went through an entirety of a high school education, an entirety of a college education with a finance degree, and never took any course that even touched on any of these topics that are covered here? Nothing that's going to help me to make efficient decisions with my financial resources, and improve my financial position, and to help me to ensure that I am able to continue living at least the same lifestyle I enjoy today, into retirement, all the way to my life expectancy, adjusted for inflation. There's nothing out there that's doing that, and so we want people to be exposed to not only the reality of that situation, of the situation they find themselves in, that the financial decisions they are making today are going to have a massive impact on their financial future one way or the other. It's what decisions are we making, and what impact are we going to have? Do we want to participate in what is happening while it is happening, and while we are able to affect the outcome? So we didn't want to leave folks who had already been through school and not had access to that education out. So that's really what it is.
That's great. That's great. And of course, speaking of your dad here, of course, Don but he is a master communicator. And like you said, that's why he created the Circle of Wealth software as for advisors like myself to help illustrate these things with their clients and people they're working with. But this all came from this model here, the personal economic model, which I use in my practice on a regular basis, daily basis. So can you speak to that a little bit? I know that's kind of what is that what gave you and your dad the idea to take this into a course curriculum? Can you talk about this model here?
Sure. I wouldn't say that it gave us the idea to do it. I think the idea to do it was based on the recognition of a dire need for people to have access to this information. But the model itself is really what allows us to be able to do that, to be able to put a tool in the hands of whether it's an advisor or a teacher in the classroom, the ability to illustrate for someone exactly what is happening with the dollars that they are earning. So if you look at the model here on the upper left hand corner, we have our earned income coming into that lifetime capital potential tank. It's the largest tank because it represents all of the money that you are going to earn throughout your lifetime. However, no money actually sits in that tank. It drops all the way down to the bottom and into your monthly income. The first place that stops is at the tax filter. That's where the federal and state governments take their share of your hard earnings. And moving on from the tax filter, we encounter the next piece right there in the middle called the lifestyle regulator. It's situated in the center because it is the fulcrum point of the entire model. Everything that happens in the model happens based on your decisions surrounding the lifestyle regulator. Now, the natural flow, just like water, of your money is to come hit that lifestyle regulator and continue flowing out to your current lifestyle, funding your current standard of living. Those dollars are lost and gone forever when they do that. And what's important to understand is that our current lifestyle, our wants and needs, our desires, it's insatiable. It never ends, no matter how much we have, no matter how big a house we have, or how nice a car we have, or whatever it is. It's just there's always more to be had. And what's important to understand is that our lifetime capital potential, while our potential might be limited, we might be able to buy a lottery ticket and win the lottery tomorrow. That's not money in the bank. And eventually we're going to reach a point where we will have earned all of the money that we will have earned over our lifetime. And those decisions that we make with that earned income over our lifetime is going to determine our financial future. So what we really want people to understand with this curriculum is that there needs to be a balance between the dollars we spend on our current lifestyle. They're at the lifestyle regulator. Those dollars we allow to flow through to our current lifestyle to be consumed and gone forever. And dollars we pump up that tube in the middle labeled future lifestyle into our savings and investment tanks for our future. Now, why is that tube vertical? It is vertical to represent the fact that money does not naturally flow that way. It requires energy and effort for you to be able to pump dollars away from your current standard of living and to be set aside for your future in your savings and investment tanks. And the point being, if we are able to recognize this soon enough and to start putting this idea into practice, regulating how much lifestyle that we are consuming currently, and saving a portion of that for our future, eventually we'll be able to fill up those savings and investment tanks to the point at which we can retire and allow those tanks to fund our current lifestyle in our retirement all the way to our life expectancy. And that's really, I think, if you ask people, what kind of lifestyle do you want to live in the future? Do you want to live a lifestyle that is A, better than you live today, B, at least the same as you live today, or C, less than you live today? Most people, it's always A or B, and it's never C. Well, if you don't want it to be C, there are things that we need to do today surrounding our decisions regarding that lifestyle regulator specifically, and ways that we can be efficient with our income and the decisions that we're making surrounding it, such that we are able to continue living the same lifestyle we enjoy today into the future.
Wow, that's fantastic. You touched on a few key terms there. I like the word hearing you say that now. As long as I've been using this, the regulator, right? We have control over that, and that sensational appetite that we have, for spending. I think it might be called Parkinson's law. Northcote Parkinson, in his book, wrote about that, just how we have this appetite for spending regardless of how much we earn, right? So,
Mhm.
and you brought up the tax filter here that the money goes through. That's the government, right? The state that wants to take our money before we have even a chance to get a hold of it. But of course, most people today, they have something called qualified plans, maybe through their work, the 401k, and that pipe. And I've shown this to engineers, chemical engineers, and they seem to get it. Some people, it takes them a little while, but everybody tells me when I show them this that it looks like some sort of plumbing, some type of schematic. And so that regulator and that vertical word that you used, it takes energy, right? We have to pump this money up uh, on our own to go into these tanks, or if we put it in a qualified plan, it might go in there first.
Sure.
But I see here on these tanks, risk and safe, and the red, the yellow, and the emergency fund down at the bottom. Speak on that just a little bit, if you don't mind.
Sure. So if we take a look at the investment tank compared to the savings tank, you'll notice at the very top there is no cap on the investment tank, and that is to indicate that there is risk involved with dollars you put in that tank. There is the potential that dollars that you put in that tank today will not be there tomorrow, and that's not that that's good or bad, but understand that's what it is when you put dollars in that tank. So if you're making qualified plan contributions to your 401k, that comes straight out of your paycheck before tax, and is deposited into that 401k account. Now, when you get that statement that says the dollar amount in your 401k account, what most people presume is that is their money in that account. However, those contributions were made pre-tax, and they are tax deferred savings accounts, which does not mean that you don't have to pay the tax. It just means that you don't have to pay the tax today. When you
Your
go
dad
to
calls that postponing paying the
Yes.
tax, right?
Yeah, we postpone that tax until later. When you go to withdraw dollars from those accounts, the first place it hits when it comes down that tube is the tax filter. And that's what that red in that investment tank represents, is your tax liability on those dollars that you earn in that investment tank.
And it takes energy to save money as well, probably a little more, because again, when people get their paycheck and it's automatically deducted to go into that qualified plan, that it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. But it takes
Sure.
energy to save money, and this emergency fund, I find, especially in today's society, not everyone has. Is that how important is that? Do you feel?
Absolutely, it's important because if you don't have anything in place, if you don't have anything in those tanks, then when an unexpected expense comes along, if your lifestyle regulator is pegged all the way open and you're spending everything that's coming through already, when something unexpected comes on top of that, the only place you have to go to get access to solve that problem is to borrow. And when you borrow in that situation, you are borrowing from your lifetime capital potential, your financial future. You are obligating dollars that you have yet to earn, that you will earn in the future, hopefully. You are obligating dollars you haven't even earned yet to solve a problem today. And so now you're kind of upside down. And it makes it very difficult to come back from those kinds of situations. Why? Because unexpected expenses keep happening over and over and over. I don't know if your house is anything like mine, but when it rains, it pours. And sometimes it keeps raining, and sometimes, there's no keeping the water out of that house. It's,
Right.
preparing adequately on the front end to be able to stay out of that. And an emergency fund can help us with that. It can prevent us from having to borrow from dollars we are earning potential, dollars we haven't even earned yet. However, when you're draining that tank, your savings tank, you're still taking money from your future and spending it on your current lifestyle. Those dollars in the savings and investment tanks, those are there for your financial future. And if you are paying cash, let's say, to solve the problem today, yes, you're solving the problem. No, you don't have to borrow to do it. No, you're not paying interest to a lender to cover that expense. However, when you pull dollars out of that savings account, you're also taking dollars that were set aside from your future. And when you take dollars out of those accounts, there's no ability for those dollars in those accounts to continue to earn interest. So you're losing interest that you could have earned on those dollars if you had not had to spend them and left them in the account. It's opportunity cost is another key principle that we go through in this curriculum.
That's great. And so much. I just want to touch on this. You again, because you hadn't mentioned borrowed funds, liabilities, but truly the way I think people look at it is debt, right? And so much that word is important. Even the Dr. Calhoun, he's the chair of the economics department at Florida State. Is that correct?
Correct.
Whenever he teaches this curriculum there, and he calls it Unconquered by Debt. And I believe, more and more, I just saw some statistics yesterday here in Mississippi, and I'm sure it's similar in Louisiana, but Mississippi, as well as we're known for, being last in many things, we have the highest credit card debt in the nation. I believe it was something like 39% of families, are in credit card debt. So, how can this help somebody overcome debt or, teach them about debt?
Sure. So you mentioned Dr. Calhoun. He's been teaching our personal finance illustrated curriculum in his personal finance course for several years now. We were introduced to him through a mutual acquaintance, and shortly thereafter, he started teaching the curriculum in his classroom. He has since broadened it out to use elements of the curriculum in an intro to economics course, as well as a macroeconomics course. But broader than that, on the campus, he has developed an entire financial wellness program that he calls Unconquered by Debt. And so he approached us and said, "Hey, I love the model. I love being able to teach from the model. I love the way my students are able to learn with the model." He said, "But it's only the students in my classroom that are having the benefit of seeing any of this material." He approached us about developing a free course that we could provide to all of the students on campus so that they could all be exposed to this information. So we do have that available as well on our website, pemlife.org/unconquered by debt. Anyone can register for free. We ask for your name and your email. No, we don't spam you. But it's available for those folks who want to take a closer look about debt specifically, and it goes a little further than that. There are those folks out there who focus on helping people get from a pile of debt to out from under a pile of debt. And I think that community is well served. But where we tend to focus is, what if we didn't go into debt in the first place? What are some of those strategies that we could apply to keep ourselves from debt in the first place? And if we are able to keep ourselves out of debt in the first place, how then do we utilize our financial resources to improve our financial position in the future? What do we need to understand about the decisions that we're making with our finances that are going to either lead us towards debt or up and away, with like your namesake, a legacy for the future, and understanding those things about how to move, not only deal with debt, but okay, let's move on from debt, and now what's the next step? Where do we want to go? Where do we want to be in the future? And understanding how to get there.
That's important, because I believe, you know, what you just mentioned, catch people before they go into debt.
Sure.
And so the curriculum being taught in college and in schools that you're offering, people can, of course, learn about at PEMLife.org. And, you know, so the personal economic model, uh, and the efficiency part, uh, the software that your dad has, I have a couple favorite tools. Now, I don't know if they're shown in the actual classes, but I really love, you know, we were talking about the safe tank here, the savings tank, and we like to call it a private reserve. So that's one of my favorite modules in the circle of wealth. But I also like the mortgage master. And so over here, this other tank, which we haven't really talked about, the house, the collateral. Now, we have a little different perspective, I believe, than maybe some of these radio personalities out there that talk to you about that. But what is kind of, you know, why is that over there? Why is that a tank, the house and the collateral? And I know your father, he talks about, you know, just buying a new home at you know, an older age. And you know, on the flip side of that, my father-in-law just recently bought a new house at an older age, and they were completely different, 180 degrees. Can you just touch on that? You don't have to get too far into it, but when we teach the mortgage master, what are we talking about? What is this tank all about?
Well, I think people are of the mindset that if they have a loan, that they are in debt. And the same is true for a mortgage. People believe that if they have a mortgage, that they are in debt. We would argue against that, because at any point in time, your house has a value. The appraisal value, the bank is not going to loan you more than the house is worth. So you could, if push came to shove, sell the house, pay off the loan, and extinguish that debt. So we call that a liability as opposed to debt, because you have the ability to pay that liability. Now, we consider debt to be a financial obligation in which you cannot repay except with money you have yet to earn. Now, if you do sell your house, you have a housing problem. You've got to find somewhere to lay your head at night, but you're not in debt. And I think divorcing from this idea that if I have a loan that I am in debt is important for everyone to understand in order to be able to make efficient decisions when it comes to how you're going to pay for a mortgage, or how you're going to pay for your car, or a major capital purchase. Anything you can't afford to pay for in full with your monthly cash flow is going to be an important decision that's going to affect your financial future, and whether you're efficient or inefficient with it is going to determine how exactly that it affects your financial future. So understanding these things as it relates to a car loan or a mortgage loan are very, very, very important.
So these are tools, and the name Lessons in Financial Efficiency, I think, is a great name. And of course, people can learn more about this curriculum, these courses, at PEMLife.org. Kind of tell me in closing here, James, what's kind of the long-term plan for PEM Life? Where do you see it, and where do you see you being involved 10, 20 years down the road?
Yeah, well, you had mentioned about the credit card debt, and specifically in Mississippi. And I'm going over here to our Unconquered by Debt page here, and I've got some statistics at the top, which you'll see these. But just to run through them quickly, is 40% of adults in America have less than $500 in total savings. 36% have so far neglected to save even a single dollar for their retirement. 28% have no savings at all set aside for any purpose. An estimated 38 million households in the US regularly spend every single penny of their paychecks. Close to half of Americans could not be able to cover an unexpected expense of $500 or less. Roughly a third could not cover $100 or less. So we have an issue. I don't think that comes as a surprise to anyone. But what we are looking to do with PEM Life specifically is to have an impact on that issue, to help prepare people to have a different outcome than what is suggested by these statistics. And how do we do that? Again, it comes back to the process, that solid foundation of understanding financial mechanisms and exactly how they work, an understanding of the personal economic model, and being able to visualize what is happening with those dollars, the pull of your current lifestyle desires and that insatiable appetite for more, no matter how much you have, versus what are we going to be doing to put money away to secure our future, to be able to answer the four toughest financial questions that everybody faces, which is, do you know what you need to be saving currently on a monthly or annual basis in order to be able to retire and have enough money to last until your life expectancy adjusted for inflation? Do you know that number? Certainly, our curriculum helps people to find these numbers. Folks such as yourself, Barry, work with clients every day to find these numbers. Do you know what rate of return you need to be earning on your savings and investment dollars to be able to retire and continue to live the same standard of living all the way to your life expectancy adjusted for inflation? Do you know how long you're going to have to work in order to meet those numbers, in order to make that happen? And finally, if you don't do anything differently than you are doing today, do you know how much you're going to have to reduce your standard of living in the future to keep from running out? It's important to understand that the model itself will find its way to equilibrium one way or another, sooner or later. Either you can be part of the process of helping to ensure that equilibrium on a day-to-day basis with your financial decisions, or if you let that thing run, eventually you're going to encounter an issue where there is no more future to leverage against. There is no more income coming, and then you're in a tough spot. So it's keeping people away from that, to understand that the decisions they're making are going to have an indelible impact on their financial future one way or the other. And if we can help be a part of making those decisions with more efficiency, that's really what we're all about.
Well, that's really good. Thank you for sharing all of that, and for working on this program, this curriculum. Everything is offered online, so people can take these classes completely online on their own schedule. And this is the sign up page here where people can go once they go to PEMLife.org. And the title of this show, Legacy Money. This is something that y'all have created to help people, and I see it as just your dad's wonderful legacy, and you being a part of that, and now having children of your own. It's just a great way to share the truth, about money. Your dad has a kind of a famous intro that he says, if what you believe to be true about money turned out not to be true, when would you want to know? And that's an eye opener, I think, for people when they get asked that question, because I think people today are starting to realize that what they believed to be true hasn't really worked out that way, especially, when you get to be my age, and your retirement is knocking on your door,
Mm.
right? So, can you just tell us a little bit about, you know, uh, what your legacy you want to look like? I know you're still young, James, but have you thought that far into the future?
Sure. I mean, I think it's natural to, and as a father, you want to prepare your children to live successfully, and I think part of that is their financial education and preparing them. There's all kinds of issues that we're going to deal with in this world, and we don't always get to pick and choose what those are, but we can decide how we are going to prepare to encounter those issues. And certainly, financial literacy is part of that preparation. And you want to leave a legacy for your kids. We don't know the problems that they're going to face in the future. We got a pretty good idea based on how Congress is spending money these days, but to be able to prepare them to make efficient decisions with their financial decisions is really what we're working to help people provide for others with this curriculum.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. We want to invite you out there, whether again you're watching live or on the recording, to subscribe to our channel, where we'll continue to uh, try to help with financial education. And thank you for all that you're doing, James, to promote this and this curriculum, which people can get online. So thank you again for joining us. And if you want to learn what you can do in your personal life, maybe you want to learn about the personal economic model, you can go to our website, legacyinsuranceagency.com, schedule a time to meet with us. But if you want to share this with others, with your family, your loved ones, PEMLife.org is where they can sign up for the course. And again, I just thank you for sharing all that with us, James, and for being with us today.
Thanks so much for having me. It's been a pleasure to be here, and I'm honored to get to speak with you and to your audience.
Thank you so much. Y'all join us next time. We'll see you on Legacy Money.
Adios.